Hello, hello, everyone. I think we're just trying to get a few more people on stage and we will get started. How's it going, Rich? I think I see you there
Yep.
and
Can you guys hear me okay?
loud and clear. How you doing?
Good, good. You guys doing all
And
right?
doing good, doing good. Can't complain. We're here in Miami, so it's evening time for us. So wrapping up the day. How about you? Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Cali. Yeah, I just picked up my daughter from school, so if there's a little background noise, my bad.
No worries. We're out in LA all the time, so I don't know where you're at, but we're always back and forth between here and LA. So we know California pretty well.
Yeah, it's like 78 degrees and beautiful.
Yeah, it's I definitely are you in Southern California?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's gorgeous out there. Every time I go. I mean, Florida's nice too, but it rains all the time, so little different. It seems like I think we've got Illuvium up here too. Is
What's
everything working on your end? Everything good?
yeah? What's up? What's up? Yo, so TSG, Taryn in on the Illuvium account. Yo, wow, my voice sounds horrible. I legit just spoke up, so bear with me a little bit, but I'm excited for this
No.
conversation for sure.
Awesome, awesome, and good to have you here. We were just talking about how our days are ending, so it sounds like you're on the other side of the pond if your day is just beginning, or
Yeah,
maybe you
yeah.
just woke up at the
No,
end
no,
of the day.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's 7 a.m. here.
Yeah.
7 a.m. Wow, my voice is done. Yo, Jesus, Dick, you might be doing a lot of the heavy lifting here, man.
Your voice is done. Kieran's been doing all the talking.
Yeah, yeah, but he's no. I shouldn't say anything. Yes, yes, he has. Yes, he has.
All right, all right. Well, Danny is here too, I think. Is everything good on your end, Danny?
Yes, hello everyone. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So I think we got the full crew. Are we waiting on Kieran? Is he heading over, or are
Uh,
we
I
good?
think we might be okay to start. I know we had a bit of a late one last night doing a massive giveaway trivia in our Discord. So there's a potential that he might just be out cold. So I mean, we've got myself and Dick here. So if Kieran does join, that'd be dope. But otherwise, me and Dick can definitely carry this for the Illuvium side. And
Perfect. No,
If he doesn't make it, I publicly apologize for that.
no worries at all. I just didn't want to start without him if he was
You
coming
said
over. I think
He
we're good to go. So,
Yeah, he was up pretty late, so I mean I know he said he was gonna be here, but I think we can start, and then if he shows, he shows.
perfect. Let's do it then. All right. So this is the second episode of our weekly series, which is called the Hideout. It's something we've been doing for a while, and now we're kind of just making it official. Our goal with this is to bring in kind of the thought leaders from all around the space to think and talk about some really interesting topics that I think are important as we continue to develop this space as leaders in this space. And we couldn't be more happy to have what I consider one of the top projects building in the metaverse and gaming space, Illuvium, here with us. So I won't introduce them. They can do that a lot better than I can. But I guess for those of you who don't know us, we are Satoshiverse, and we are building a superhero universe for the blockchain with blockchain themes, beginning with our superhero Satoshi the Creator, who is a take on the real life Satoshi, who goes away for 10 years and comes back as a half man, half machine superhero to lead a rebellion against the bourgeoisie who have taken over and really changed the world for the worse. And so the lore and the game that we're building a action RPG roguelike game. set to release this December. That's all based on this story of this blockchain-based superhero. So we can get into that a little bit more, but today's topic is going to be focused on community growth in the Web3 space. So we have some awesome people from the Illuvium team on that side of the equation, and we also have Danny, who is our very involved in the community, but also our head of partnerships and runs a lot of our marketing. So we've got a really good panel to talk about this topic. I think we're going to have some really interesting questions that we'll go through. But why don't you tell us a little bit high level about Illuvium and introduce yourselves, and then we can jump in.
Awesome. Yo, Dick, do you mind if I throw this one to you? Because I know you were at Oz CryptoCon and you've got this down packed. Or do you want me to take this one?
No, I'm fine. You asked about what Illuvium is, right? First.
Yeah. Tell us the elevator. The elevator.
Yeah. So, sorry. See, I got trains and shit here. So the elevator pitch is basically like this. We Kieran coined this term, IBG, interoperable blockchain game, and it's kind of specific to Illuvium because we have this suite of games we're building. The main one being, they're all main games because you can all play them separately, but the overworld is kind of the Pokemon style explorer that you'll go through the world. It's an open world with many different areas and different terrains and stuff. And then, so you'll travel through that world and you'll catch, sorry guys, you'll catch the alluvials there, the Pokemon type creatures. And then you'll be able to take those, you'll own those assets. You'll be able to harvest minerals and other things and craft items as well in the overworld. And then you can take all those assets that you get, the alluvials, and you can take them into our next game, our other game, which is the Illuvium Arena. So that's our auto battler that we expect to compete with like TFT, other auto battler, auto chess games like that. And so you'll be able to take these alluvials you have, you'll build your deck. You can play in a few different modes. Right now, the mode that we have live is our private beta, which is just a survival mode. So you just keep getting going wave after wave after wave. But you'll eventually be able to play PvP and tournament modes and stuff like that. And then everything that powers this whole ecosystem, like you'll have all these fuels you'll generate from the land game, which is Illuvium Zero. And Illuvium Zero is our mobile, like city builder idle clicker game, and that game is where all our land comes into play. So different lands, depending on tier, generate different amounts of fuel or different types of fuel, and so you'll be able to take that fuel and you can either sell it on the market or you can use it to go play the game. So essentially, you could play all three games separately if you didn't, like if you just wanted to play Illuvium Zero and sell your fuel to people who are playing the overworld, then you could do that. Or if you wanted to play the overworld for essentially not free, but you could mine your minerals in Illuvium Zero and then take those into the overworld, so you didn't have to buy those off of somebody else essentially. So I think I covered everything, Taryn, unless you think I missed anything.
Nah, smashed it. And yo, you guys can see how dedicated we are with Dick having trains and whatnot behind him. So, and me just waking up all this. So, we're very glad to be here.
I love it. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves too, and what you specifically do at Illuvium, and give some context.
Yeah. So I'm a community manager. I deal with all things community, deal in events. Me and Taryn really tag team a lot of stuff. Because he's of his role, which I'll let him talk about. But yeah, I've been involved with Illuvium since I think like December 2020, like at least like knowing about it and starting to read about it and stuff like that. And yeah, I was on our council, our Illuminati council, which is the council that governs the whole thing, the whole protocol. And I was on that a few times, and I just moderated for them for a while. And then, yeah, eventually they brought me on board to do community management. So I do that, and I do a few other tasks here and there just to help out the team. Like I always tell everybody, like nobody on Illuvium has one job. Everyone does everything that they can. So yeah, that's basically my role.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely vouch for that. That no one has one job. I was brought in as the influencer manager, so essentially my job is to one like develop our core creators, just kind of strategize on how we can use influencers in the space to market, promote, and just add value to like the influencers themselves and their community as well, and just like different things. How do we organize events with influencers and just build relationships, honestly, because I know we've got questions about it later, but I think influencer marketing is the most efficient way of marketing in today's society. So that's kind of what they brought me on for. And yeah, I liked it. Many hats, kind of just taking on whatever roles that needs to be filled at that moment. But yeah, I'm a content creator as well. That's how I got into the influencer manager position. So I've been making content for like it's been 8 months now, 8 months now. And that's how I kind of have an understanding of all right, what the influencers need, what do they look for, like does content even actually get made. So when I'm having these conversations with them, I can actually empathize and we can have deeper level conversations than someone like a corporate person coming in saying, "Oh, what can I do for you, Mr. Influencer?" That's kind of or Miss Influencer, whatever. So yeah, so that's kind of where my role at Illuvium and how I got involved here.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to get into those questions. I think there's so we could go pretty deep into a lot of that stuff. So definitely looking forward to that. And Danny, why don't you introduce yourself as well, and then we can jump into the questions.
Yeah, for sure. So I am the partnerships lead here at the Satoshiverse. I've been in the space for about a year and a half or so. And marketing obviously is a big part of what I do, a big part of my day to day. Very interesting in this industry for sure. And we're going to talk about it. And I'm really excited to hear all of the answers that you guys have. So why don't we go into the questions? And my first question, it's probably for Rich, judging from what you do. What do you think are some of the greatest challenges with marketing a Web3 game?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. Like we've talked about. Me and Taryn were just in this branding meeting, like with one of the companies we work with, No Standing, and it's really dependent because like we're a GameFi project, so we have all these different different products. We have the games, we have the definance side, and we have the collector side with our Illuvatars coming out, or even our Illuvials in general. So it's hard because like we've kind of targeted originally. I think we were targeting kind of the Web3 space, and eventually once we, like Kieran always says, we want to build a game that's fun. And for a lot of the Web3 space now, currently, it doesn't seem to be like a lot of hardcore gamers, as much as speculative investors. I mean, there is the gamers out there, but a lot of speculative investors. So it's not, we don't want, I mean, we want to market to Web3, of course, but I think eventually you're going to see us move once we get games out and up and running fully. We're going to be marketing a lot to, Web2, and that'll come through various avenues like esports or partnerships or whatever it may be. But I think as speaking to the challenges of marketing, I think it's just finding out what your current crowd is, because like right now marketing to Web2 gamers doesn't make sense because we don't have like a full fleshed out game yet, and we don't want to off put a lot of these gamers into the space. So it's just finding out what time and where you are at in your project to figure out who to market to, I think.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point, that you made in terms of like figuring out who the crowd is, figuring out what your market is and where you're at as a project. when I kind of think about this stuff and what we've been doing on our end, I think there's uh, this desire, right, or I'm losing the word, but there's this incentive per se to overpromise, especially I think in the gaming space, because so much of what's driving these projects is hype and speculation, and so much of this is investing on a website or a trailer or some smoke and mirrors here and there. And I think that unfortunately, it's much easier to make a trailer than it is to make a really good game. And so it's hard, I think, for the current Web3 user base to cut through a lot of, okay, like who's really doing stuff in the space? Who is really building in the space? And so, I mean, I think for us, it's been a challenge to balance that, right? To show people that we have this great vision of what this could be in the future, and to bring our community along with us on that journey, while also being realistic about how long and how much resources, and how difficult certain things are to accomplish within the gaming space, right? Because you have studios, AAA studios, that take 4 years to build a game with multi-million-dollar budgets. So for me, it's kind of that, and I think you hit the nail on the head there with just knowing the audience and being able to kind of pivot depending on where you're at as a project.
Yeah, and I just want to add real quick. Sorry, I just want to add real quick because yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. And I like if I had to add on to it, I think managing community expectations is probably one of the most like biggest challenges as well because it's like one, we're in Web3, so we're trying to be as transparent as possible. But at the same time, it's like, yo, sometimes deadlines don't get hit. Sometimes life happens, things happen, like, and things do need to get pushed back, or we need to make adjustments, and that's fine. But it's very hard to be completely transparent as well as managing their expectations, because no matter what, if you say something and they hold you to it, some people are more accepting than others, and there's going to be some disgruntled like community members. So that's probably, I think, the hardest thing. Because also you don't want to be super passive and say, "Oh, it's going to take 3 years," because then why would people want to stick around for that long, right? You want to be aggressive and say, "Yo, this is what we're aiming for." It's kind of motivation for the team, um, but at the same time, it might not get hit. So it's a tough balancing act. So I agree with you completely with what you're saying there.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with what you just said about managing like community expectations. Also, because at the end, we are in this Web3 space, right? And obviously, like there are a lot of things that have happened in the past, and a lot of people are also jaded sometimes, or they expect you to do the same thing that the other project that they're in did. And so it's a really hard balance to find, definitely. I totally agree with you on that. And obviously on finding at the same time, gamers in the web 2 have like this view of NFTs that they really don't like it, so we're sort of in this limbo right now where we're trying to figure out how to approach a public and what public that is. So 100% agree with everything that you guys are saying. And this brings me to this, Taryn. You were saying that you work with influencers and content creators, and that actually in this Web3 space, there's something really interesting where influencers and using influencers to promote products in general has had a, sort of like a negative connotation. What is your take on that? And have you found, you already sort of like said that you did, like these, that using these influencers is an effective way to market a product, and how do you find it effective in that sense?
Yeah. So that's actually fascinating, the whole negative connotation around influencers to promote anything. I think honestly, in today's society, like let's talk about the different ways of advertising. We've got traditional advertising in newspapers, TVs, like that's just not converting the way it used to. People aren't watching these things. Like there's not enough attention on these things, so they're just it's a failing kind of form of advertising. The Super Bowl potentially could be decent, but even then, understanding the end consumer and understanding that human beings have different cultures, different life experiences, a blanket advertisement doesn't work. Like it just doesn't. So If we understand this as objective truth, it's like, all right, so how do we combat that? What's the strategy moving forward? And so I think influencer marketing, or it is the only kind, not the only, but it's one of the best ways, right? It's like we listen to the people that we trust, and everyone's going to be able to spin it and like show the product in a way that is natural to them, and their followers obviously follow them for that reason. They trust that person, they respect that person. So it makes sense that way. In regards to the negative connotation, I think that's just based on during the bull market, and I don't think this is just Web3 in general, but just anything, because there's such like a large amount of capital flowing around in the system. Influencers of Web2 and Web3 were getting paid a lot, and not all influencers. I want to wear this in a way where I'm not like offending anyone, but like there are a lot of influencers that would have just taken the bag to promote something that they don't believe in, and so that kind of ruins the reputation. Like it kind of ruins that relationship, so and that trust. So in regards to that moving forward, essentially like my thing is I'm trying to find like respectable influences that are more for the cause than for the money. And that way we know that, all right, cool. So you guys aren't just in it to just take a pay from anyone that's coming your way. You guys are actually down to build, and your word is like your community is going to respect you more. Because, for example, on my channel, if I was to start making videos on every single like project that started paying me, my audience would be like, "Yo, what does this guy actually believe in? Like, would they actually trust me?" And the answer is, I will. If I was a consumer and the person that I watch, let's say Dick started making content, or let's say Scar started, like he makes content as well. If these guys just started like every video was a different project, and at the start of the project they're like, "Oh, this was a paid sponsorship." I'd just be like, "Yeah, this is just I'm just watching sponsors. Like I'm just watching sponsored videos. Like this is yeah. It seems weird." Um, so no, I think influencer marketing is absolutely essential in like moving forward, and it's just about doing it the right way with like good influencers that aren't willing to sell their audience out. Like they're trying to actually bring value to the audience instead of extract value. And I think that's kind of what we're looking for. And if we follow that, I can't see this failing, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I think that's, it's so important to kind of draw that distinction, right? Because especially in the gaming space where, Twitch streaming and just really, I like to think of them more as content creators even than influencers, even though they are, justifiably looped into that group. I think content
Yeah, I
creators
agree with that.
yeah, I mean, content creators, especially in the gaming space, are essential, right? I go to dinner with my family, and I've got both of my little cousins, sitting on their phones watching 25-year-old guys play Roadblock or Roblox, talking about what they're doing, and they're eating it up. And then that is, the future of gamers and current gamers, and that content is gold. That the people getting excited about a project, releasing content who aren't part of the project itself, even if they're getting paid for their time, which they should, because they're working hard, they're creating that content. They are bringing a different perspective, and they're giving people a different look on the game. They're giving people a different experience. They're attractive to people for different reasons. It could be trust, like you said, whether if it's financial related, or it could just be that they're making interesting content, and that I love playing a game. I might watch an influencer who plays that game really well to learn their tricks and stuff, right? But I think
Yeah,
what happened before, and you kind of said it right, is that people were trusting the wrong people, and you had celebrities coming from left and right and saying, changing their profile picture to a project and that you'd never heard of, because that project gave them a bag, and they weren't disclosing that they got paid money. And so I think that left a really sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. But I couldn't agree more that content creators specifically, maybe not just anons on on Twitter with a lot of followers, I think more people who are actually creating content and adding to the conversation, which I think is key from influencers. I think those are going to be, like you said, the most effective way of promoting anything going forward. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, yeah. And I just wanted to, sorry, I just read the question again. Like at the very end, you said, has it been effective? Absolutely, man. And just look at the past, past kind of examples that we've had, like Among Us, right? Like I'm sure we all kind of saw that. That was like we just had hella people streaming and making videos about it, and it blew up. What's the other one? Stumble Guys, right? You see this happening with gaming, and like if you're not using content creators to promote, it just doesn't make sense. And like you say, like just yesterday, I had someone who said, "Oh man, I manage this many these influencers," and all of these influencers legitimately had like hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter. And I clicked on him, and it's just all fake. Like there's no engagement, there's nothing there. So and that's the downside of like you actually need to do your due diligence. Otherwise, it's kind of just yeah, it's a tricky space to be in, but it's an essential space to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree that this is something that happened when influencers first started being a thing on social media, like in the Web 2 space. It was the Wild West for a little while. People stopped trusting them, and then things got regulated. Then we knew that like the influencers needed to say that they were getting paid. Everything got like way more standard, and people knew who to trust and who to not trust. And I think that's just a matter of the Web3 space sort of like catching up to that. Once we're there, I think that I totally agree. I think that influencers are absolutely, or content creators or opinion leaders, like all of those are different, right? And I think that they definitely bring something very important. So Rich, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, I was just gonna say one more thing. Like as far as like talking about like how the old influencers were like when the bull run was going on and stuff, and I think it's something that Taryn does really well, and that like it's part of the reason we wanted to get him on board. But like we have like a core set of influencers, so it's something we're doing to it not only promotes like us because we have these core influencers that most of them were already making Illuvium content because they like the project, they're about the project, so they're committed. And then not only that, but then we bring them in, and Taryn's helping these guys make better content and grow their pages and making them a part of our ecosystem. So it benefits them, it benefits us because they're getting the word out, and they all interact together and get the best information out there to everybody with what works and what doesn't. So like I think that's really key too, because then when we're 5 years down the line and we still have these core influencers that are going to be way bigger by then, they're another source of truth for anybody looking about what Illuvium is and what it's about.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. So that brings me to our next question for Nick. What has been the Satoshiverse primary marketing strategy?
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we've marketed different things during different times of the market. And so when we were beginning with our comic collectibles and working with Jose as a crypto artist, it was really driven towards marketing to that crypto art collecting crowd, and we were using a lot of the conventional means, doing a lot of PR more than marketing, really letting people know, the behind the scenes. I mean, we were working with platforms that would bring people's eyes, and I think the key there was just creating really great, art and creating really great backstory and explaining and having the Twitter spaces and doing all that good stuff. And I think that was during a time where things were bulling, it was a bull market, but it wasn't what it eventually became kind of during what I call the PFP boom. I think that when we got there, we saw this tension, right? There was this tension, I think, between creating hype and growing your community organically. And I think, having been in the space since 2017 and kind of seen projects collapse on hype, we were really hesitant to lead with some of the hype tactics that other projects were doing. And then when we saw it, they were buying followers, they were, working with influencers that, you're just paying them big bags. And we kind of saw what the result of that was in real time with, projects booming off their mint and then crashing really hard. And we were taking the approach, of course, that, we were releasing our Legionnaire collection, but we were building, right, an entire ecosystem, and we knew that the entire ecosystem was going to take us years to build. So for us, our focus wasn't really so much on, creating this hype boom. It was really about creating a really strong core community that could then work, be with us along the journey of building out, the rest of our ecosystem. And so, kind of thinking, okay, we need people to hear about us, right? We need people to join the community. We can't build this without anybody. We kind of turned to, in a sense, influencer marketing, right? But we were really partnering and trying to work with who we considered to be thought leaders in the space. So, we reached out to artists like Trevor Jones and Hackatow. We worked with, guilds like Yield Guild Games and Ready Player DAO. We worked with projects like Decentraland, um, and several other, projects and individuals who, for us, it was through a program called the 100, where we really wanted to involve them in a more meaningful way in our project. So it wasn't just, how do we get the word out? It was, how do we do something meaningful with each of these, people and artists or projects? And so, we built in Decentraland, and we, built the first linked wearables collection. We did special skins with Hackatow and Trevor Jones art. We worked, we were trying to do meaningful things with different people who we believed were really just influential people in the space, but may not have been your, traditional influencers. And what we found is, obviously, that didn't lead to, this boom, hype phase that some of the other projects had seen during that time. But what it did do was it brought a core community that was really composed of those other communities. And so, we were just at Trevor Jones's castle party last year, and we were doing some marketing there with our masks and some of the stuff that we were doing, and it was interesting because we were meeting so many people at that party, which was for his holders, that were also members of our community. And so more and more we started to realize that the vast majority of our core community came from those different, art based or metaverse based communities. And what was great about that, I mean, probably a blessing and a curse for an NFT project, is that we got a really good core community of people who were here for a long time, had been here for a while, really weren't trying to, flip and make money on the NFT short term. And it was really just a community of people who were excited about what we were building. The people that we did get were really, really excited, right? The downside of that, obviously, was, you don't have the huge numbers or the huge volume or the huge secondary royalty. So it creates, a certain degree of, you have to strategize differently. But we kind of felt that that bear market was coming, and that in order to continue to sustain, we would need that really solid core community. And so that was our strategy, to really essentially bring communities together, to find common elements between communities and say, hey, kind of like you guys were saying with, like TCG was saying with other influencers, how do you not just bring them in, but how do you help them, do things for their communities? We were looking at, 2D artists who were super, popular and well known in the 2D or animated art space, but they hadn't done metaverse assets. So we were thinking about ways we could work with them for avatars or different things, and a lot of the things that we have going on now to add value and to collaborate. And so I think that's been really effective for us. That said, I think, as these guys said, once the game is released, once there is a product, once the content is there, I think there will have to be a shift, obviously, to getting content creators playing the game, getting the word out, and that's why, we have this core community who, when people get there, they're going to see, okay, like this isn't just another hype and dump type of project. This is something that, that's going to be here, and that they're truly building, and we have a community that at this point is willing to vouch for us. And I think that's going to be important to, our marketing going forward. Hopefully that wasn't too long-winded.
No, 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 absolutely. That was perfect. And yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think that what we did, and the way I've always viewed it, is we've sort of like been adapting to the marketing that we can do at each stage, not only in what the industry or where the industry is at, but also where our project is at in that particular moment. And I think that that's obviously key to adapt constantly and market for the right moment. And that brings me to this. We just did a giveaway, like we announced. We had an AMO army that we are going to give away to the people that are here. I just ran our giveaway, and the winner of that giveaway is Animositas. So Animositas, if you're listening,
Let's go,
please,
Annie.
please send us a DM here to the Satoshiverse. Or if you are on our Discord, you can also open up a ticket there and send your ETH address. We will send you the AMO army that you just won. So congratulations. And so we're moving on to the next question for Rich. Once you've gotten people into your Discord and following your socials, and basically you already have their attention for the first time, what do you do to keep them active and engaged?
Well, luckily it's not, I mean, technically it's my job around there, like community management, running events. Like we do like weekly trivia. We do, we do like a special hangout. It's called Cucka's Cave after one of our alluvials. We do different things, throughout the week, and luckily, like our team is amazing, and as busy as Kieran and Grant are, like something that Grant does, he's constantly leaking stuff. So like if you want to see like leaks like of the game, of cool artwork, of stuff that nobody's seen yet, like Grant is the guy to watch, because he has his own leaks channel. We also have like a core contributors like streaming channel. So like there'll be days where Grant and Dimitri, who they're our lead art department guys, they'll go into the CC streaming chat, and I think Grant's been in there for like 26 hours sometime, or I'm pretty sure it was like 26 hours once. But they'll just go in there and show you exactly what they're doing. They're building the levels or the worlds, and whatever they might be doing, they'll show you. And then beyond that, you have Kieran, who, like, perfect example why, he's not here, I think, like Kieran got, a wild bone in his body last night, and he decided to go on to Discord and just run a quick trivia in the Discord. And it got pretty busy, and then it got pretty hectic, and then next thing you know, we're running a TFT tournament into the live channels, and we had the people that qualified from the trivia in the TFT tournament, and there were some prizes for that. So yeah, like Kieran just randomly does stuff like that, like so like luckily these founders, like even in their busy schedules, they make time to come in here and engage with the community. So like even if you're new, you might be there on a day when Kieran's just in there chopping it up with everyone. And then you also have Andrew, who's doing weekly shows, 2 shows a week, Illuvium Showcase and Illuva Talks, and he's sending out the good word of Illuvium to everybody on different topics weekly. So it's just a lot of different things for different people, because maybe not everyone wants to do trivia, maybe not everyone wants to watch the CC streaming, maybe they just want to chug content from Andrew, and Andrew's a very good person to chug content from. So I think it's a combination of things, and luckily, like I said, nobody at Illuvium does just one thing, and it's kind of a team effort.
That's awesome. And I have to say that my favorite part of being on Discord is doing those trivias and those games. I always have so much fun doing those. It's always really funny to see, like, like discuss with the community, talk like this. The conversations that come up during those games are the best. So that is for sure one of my favorite things to do. So Taryn, now let's go to you and let's talk a little bit about how the strategy and the marketing has changed in the bear market. Like we were saying before, obviously you kind of have to adapt to the circumstances of the moment, right? So what do you think, or how has the marketing changed during this time, and how do you build community during this bear market?
Yeah, it's a funny one, right? Because during the bull market, we didn't have as many products to be promoting as we do now. So it's kind of a funny one how we're managing that. So like we have coming up, and I think Kieran's kind of said this publicly, so I don't mind mirroring it and kind of backing it up. But like we've got Illuvitas coming out, we've got Overworld Beta coming out, we have PvP coming out, Private Beta 3 for Arena. Is there anything else that I'm missing? I think there's something else. Illuvitas. But anyway, yeah, there's like a whole bunch of things that are coming out. Um, like this year, essentially, and it's just how do we market that? We've actually been ramping up our marketing, just being more selective about our marketing, right? So again, like what Dick was saying about all of these things with Andrew and everything, we're just making our presence more well known, and more consistent. Like we're trying to be more than just a game or a game studio. We're trying to be a media business. So that means having these like I mean, when I say TV shows, what I mean like shows where we have like we bring guests on, we interview people, and talk about not just Illuvium, but talk about like the 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 space as a whole, the industry as a whole. Like last night's conversation, I see Scariox here in the audience, and he was the guest last night, my last night, talking about Meta's role in this whole Web3 space. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're kind of being like a strong voice, and as individual products come out, you're going to see me do my thing with influencers more. You're going to see a lot of content being pumped out. Again, incentivizing content creators to one, make these content, two, do fun activities with them, like something that I'm pushing for. And me and Dick actually need to spend some time organizing, but something like an influencer invite only tournament, something like that, where we're able to kind of market the product and get it in front of the eyes of people, but also get it in front of the hands of influencers. And that way, it's a win-win-win situation. They get content out of it. They get the possibility of a prize. The audience gets to view it. Like my whole marketing strategy personally, and I know this factually for Illuvium as a whole as well, has always been like to try and find a win-win-win situation, right? Like we're not trying to extract value, like I kind of mentioned that before. It's about finding ways that we can really go into it. So yeah, when you say like what's the difference between a bull market and a bear market, it's hard for me to answer that like directly, just because again, like I say, there wasn't really too much product to be shown in the bull market. And in this bear market, this is where we're really kind of doubling down on the products, and we've actually got things to show. Um, so we're really trying to get that. In, if it was, yeah, like I'll say, if it was up to me completely, and again with the branding workshop that me and Dick did, like it was like a 6 to 8 hour workshop that we did. Um, Essentially, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the product in front of as many people as possible, as well as kind of showcasing, I'm trying to wear this wrap, is showcasing and getting the message of what we value as a brand. Like, what is it that we stand for as a brand? I think that's the most important thing. It's you can have an amazing product, but if you stand for things that the people don't stand for, again, like truth be told, Meta it makes amazing products. Instagram, all of these things, they're amazing products. But if people don't believe in your company and what you stand for, the sentiment isn't right. So we're aware of that, and that's what we're trying to do with all of these shows, these AMAs. we're trying to go around and talk about what we believe in and what we stand for, and the marketing is more organic. It's like we're really pushing it, but we really want it to be like we want the marketing to be wide rather than tall. So we want it to have a strong foundation rather than just go super tall. Like yeah, I'm sure you guys have heard that before, right? Building wide, not building tall. So that's kind of our approach.
And I think it's worth noting that pretty much everything in the bull market, you didn't need much marketing. I mean, people are willing to throw money at anything in the bull market, you know. So I mean, I think really, like they say, you know, like this is when things like, you know, the cream rises to the top in the bear market, you know. So I think that's at least worth noting.
Yeah, no, that's
Yes,
100% as well. That's 100%.
absolutely, 100%. And sort of like what I'm hearing is, and I think that we share these view as well. Sort of like the show must go on because bull or bear, you are the company that you decide to be, and at the end, that's what you have to show. Whatever is happening outside, right? And I think that we had a similar situation. We have more products to show more now than during the bull, but at the end our core message has always been the same, and we've always tried to stay true to what we want as a company and as a project. So I totally agree with what you're saying, and I think that we can relate. So Rich, one more question for you. How much interest in Illuvium have you seen from traditional gamers? Going a little bit into that, like Web3, Web2 difference.
I mean, slowly, like I think I said earlier, like we're not trying to push it to them yet because we don't want to give a bad taste in people's mouth, you know, original like when they first come on, because like even our private beta one, like it was amazing, it was awesome, you know, it was a great what's the word I'm looking for? You know, like proof of concept, you know. So that was all good, but like from like a Web2 gaming standpoint, you know, we want it to be as seamless as possible when we start bringing them over. You know, we don't want them to be having to create a wallet, and we essentially we don't want them to know that they're playing a blockchain game. You know, so I think I know there is like some Web2 gamers out there that are playing. You know, like I mean, shoot, like we're even playing TFT in the server today. You know, so like there's gamers out there that are coming over. It's not something we're pushing right now, and you know because we have a plan in place to go that route once we're more ready, you know, and you only want to take that shot once and make it a big one and make it count.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sorry, Jake. I just wanted to piggyback up what you were saying. In regards to yeah, so like we're not targeting like actively targeting Web2 gamers just yet because understanding what they want is super important. And they want something that's engaging and like honestly for us and the product that we're making that's going to be PvP. So without PvP, it's like all right, cool. They can come in, they can be excited about the product, but they're not going to get hooked on. And that's the worst thing I think you can do. Like we kind of saw that like Cyberpunk has actually done a pretty good revival of their game, but it's not common to see a game come in, lose interest, and then get it back later. So we definitely don't want to go that route. We're willing to play the long game. But like Dick said, I'm looking at this now. So Teamfight Tactics is like an auto battler, and they average 8 to 10 million players daily. So the market for this type of product is there, and I'm looking at it right now on Twitch. Currently, right now, Teamfight Tactics has 30. I'm gonna round up slightly, 32,000 viewers right now live. So the audience is there. Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is like the most up to date competitive Pokemon game, is actually a lot less, which I found in my research. I found this fascinating. So, Pokemon Sword and Shield on Twitch, on Twitch right now is getting 2.7 thousand viewers. So that is like less than 10 times what Teamfight Tactics is doing. But we understand that people love like Pokemon and that style. So if we can build a good version of that, like an engaging version of that, because Pokemon kind of handholds a lot, I think we're going to be fine. And like again, like I say, Teamfight Tactics at 32K viewers right now, 8 to 10 million players daily. I think there's interest there. It's just we don't need to bombard them with crypto stuff. Like Dick said, focus on the actual gameplay and what they like. And people play Teamfight Tactics because it's PvP. So just understand the psychology of why they're in there, and we're going to be fine. Absolutely.
100%. Couldn't agree more with what you're saying. And I love what Rick said about like when we want the Web 2 gamers to come, we want them to come and not feel that they're playing a Web 3 game, right? Like I totally agree with that. At the end, a game should be what a game attracts. It doesn't have to. Web 3 is just a technology that allows additional features, right? But it should still attract the gamers in the in the traditional way. So I couldn't agree more with that. Nick, I think that you wanted to comment something on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because when we're thinking about the long term and what this space looks like in 5 years or 10 years, and the way I've always felt about Web3 and NFTs and the role, coming from I was a lawyer before I started doing all this, and there were issues with how digital assets were managed and certain issues with payment rails and transferability and ownership and property rights. And I think NFTs do a lot of things right for fixing those issues. I would not be surprised at all if, you know, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, even, we are seeing AAA gaming studios with major gaming titles incorporating NFTs and blockchain into their game. I think the reality of it is that it's way, way, way more difficult to build a really good game than it is that's both a really good game and a blockchain based asset ownership. I guess what I'm saying is I think the success of games, like everyone on the panel has been saying, will depend on how good your game is, right? Because in 3 to 5 years, it's not going to be hard to incorporate NFTs and Web3 into your game. So if you've already built a great game and the market is there and the incentive is there and it's something that traditional gamers want, I think there's going to be a lot of companies with great games that have spent several years building those games who are going to incorporate Web3, and you're going to see the demand is going to drive an explosion, I think, in the quality of Web3 gaming. But I think we're a few years out from that. And so I think there's, going to be a really interesting, movement in the next several years that's going to kind of make or break how quickly bigger, more prominent studios adopt Web3 into their, overall schema for the games that they're building. And, I think it's going to be interesting because at the end of the day, the games that are going to survive, it's going to be the same things that have always. It's engaging IP, engaging gameplay, your ability to build a community of gamers that are really excited about your IP. But at the end of the day, it's all about the IP. It's all about what are you building for your community that's different. I don't think that in 3 to 5 years we'll be able to say, oh, well, we're a DeFi game and that's what makes us unique. I think, if all goes according to plan and anybody's successful, there's going to be a much bigger market, and incorporating Web3 is going to, be so integral. And so, when I see projects that are building, the real stuff, right? The back end, great art, great gameplay, great concepts, like what Illuvium is doing and what we're trying to do, I think those are the projects that are going to come ahead. I think when you start to see, game wrapping paper around a financial services product is, I think, where you start to see, okay, this may not survive once it's much easier to create those, to have those rails and to incorporate Web3 into your experience. I think we saw the same thing, in the PFP market. I think, 2 months after people, saw what could happen with the first, 6 drops, you had all sorts of just programmatically generated collections coming out low quality, that were, 100% marketing. And I think you're going to see that with a lot of the games that have already released, at least, games that promises to make games. It's building off that hype cycle is fine, but at the end of the day, 3 to 5 years from now, the games we're going to be talking about are the studios that made great games. And I think that everybody here is kind of behind that. That said, I think being in this, 3 year period where we get to build kind of, we're building out and we're exploring the standards for what decentralized ownership of game assets look like, what integration of cryptocurrencies look like, what rewarding holders looks like, right? What engaging with your community in a more, non-person centric way and more kind of anonymous almost way based on, ownership and membership looks like. I think all these concepts that we are experimenting with, it's going to be important that we work hard to get it right, because I think whether or not we ultimately see Web3 incorporated into the broader gaming space and making it into titles like Call of Duty or Diablo or World of Warcraft, I think is going to be determined a lot by that, and realistically by the ability to monetize it in a way that's sustainable. I think, you have to create an incentive for developers to continue to do this at a high level, because games are very expensive to make. And, the days where you can just sell an NFT collection or go get a ton of VC money just to build whatever game you can put on a deck is I think quickly disappearing. And I think it's really drilling down to, you really have to have the same type of vision in game building that you have, that you would have in the traditional space. So sorry, that was a long add-on, but yeah, I feel like we're gonna see this space change a ton in the next several years, and I hope that 3 years from now we can have another space like this and look back and say, that it worked. We're there. We're all still surviving and flourishing, and the marketing paid off.
Yes.
Yeah, damn. I hope it's not 3 years since like till another space. But yes, yes, sentiment stands. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Okay, so we're about to wrap up. I have one last question and then we can close it up. So Nick, for you, what do you think about the use of gated in real life events as a community building strategy?
Yeah, no, for sure. I just, yeah, I don't think it'll be. Hopefully, it won't be 3 years before we get on again. And it's just, I think we might be beating our heads against the wall for a few of those years while we're still trying to figure everything out. But yeah, so I think tokens, as token gating real life activities, it's another awesome form of marketing, whether that's explicitly like using technology to token gate it, or doing something like Trevor did with his castle party, which I thought was really awesome, or bigger projects, using digital technology and AR. I mean, I could see Illuvium doing something awesome with those guys running around in AR in a big, arena or something like that. I think that would be really cool. We've certainly thought about the possibilities for the future with, building in 3D and what AR and VR could bring. So I think that the reality is, digital content creators are going to be able to create incredibly immersive experiences, whether that's AR, VR, right? Even if it's not in real life in person, a more interactive version of digital, right? And I think events just generally are going to be a huge part of what we're doing to market the brand. And I think token gating those events is a really cool way of obviously providing value to your community to the extent those events need to be exclusive, right? So if they're exclusive events, sure, that's awesome. But I also think that there's a huge potential, and this is a rabbit hole we won't go down because we could talk a whole other hour, but there's so much potential for ticketing and just using tokens in creative ways for in real life events, to provide further value. You have someone attend your events all around the world, and they get something really special because you can track that through that NFT ownership being scanned at each event. Things like that, where you use the ownership and the presence and location-based NFTs, which is something that's starting to emerge right now a lot more. All this new tech that's coming out, I think, is going to really accelerate, our IRL type of capabilities and how the digital world ties into the physical world. So yeah, I think I'm excited to do some real life stuff this coming year.
Me too. I'm super excited. I definitely like the Trevor's party, for example. I enjoyed so much seeing people in real life, meeting them, talking to them. It's obviously such a different experience that I can't wait until this is a more common thing that's happening. Definitely excited about that. Okay, so we are coming up to an end. Any last words that any of you want to say? Anything else that you would like to add? Rich, maybe?
I was just gonna say, on top of that, like he was talking about like gated events in real life events. I know Kieran has already been talking about Illuva Fest or whatever we're gonna call it eventually. But I mean, we've already kind of like been like Taryn brought up Illuvatars, which is one of our upcoming sales that we're gonna have. There'll be your PFPs in game. There'll be like a collections type thing, and we've also talked about adding utility like this to them. So it's definitely on the radar as like another cool thing to give utility to something, to give more utility to something, and show appreciation for the people that own your assets. So yeah, just I was gonna add that small portion on.
Awesome, that's great. How about you, Taryn? Any last words?
Man, I just wanted to say I appreciate the conversation. Yeah, appreciate having us on. I hope I did all right considering I just woke up. And yo, this is super random, but I do need to say, Danny, I don't know where the accent is from. I think I do, but I absolutely love it. It's incredible. Super random, but I just needed to put that out there. But thank you for having us on.
Yeah, I want to say thank you real quick to everyone. I didn't realize we were bowing out, but yeah, thanks everyone. I appreciate you bringing me on. Yeah, and I'm kind of new to doing all these talks, but yeah, I'm trying to do them more often.
Yeah, and call to action. I totally forgot. Call to action. Join us on our Discord. Have a chat. Spam Dick with comments. Ask him questions. He will get back to every single one of you. So as many questions as you like. Make his day extremely busy, please, from me.
Awesome. So the accent is from Colombia, actually. Yeah,
Okay,
you're
yeah, I
surprised.
was way off. I was thinking Trinidad Tobago, but okay.
Okay. Well, I guess not that far. At least
D-
they are native speakers, so I feel, I feel flattered.
Danny, I always thought you were from Ireland. This is coming as a surprise.
You guys, I've always wanted to have an Irish accent. That's always been my dream. I love that accent, and obviously it's pretty impossible for me to have it. Nick, any last words?
No, just kind of parroting what these guys said. Obviously such a great thing to have you guys on, such an honor. You guys are doing incredible things. Definitely, if you're a member of our community, go follow these guys. Go jump in their Discord. They're doing great stuff in the space, and as there's only I'd say a large handful at this point, but still a handful of projects that we really, really believe in and really believe are doing amazing stuff. And I think Illuvium is one of them, for sure. If you're from the Illuvium community, please do the same. Jump into our Discord, join the chat, jump into the Twitter. We're pretty much in there all the time, either me or Danny or Laura. We've got a bunch of people in there just chatting with the community. But yeah, I'm really excited to do this again sometime. I think that as our respective projects progress, we're gonna see some awesome stuff being built. And so whether it's doing another one of these or finding some way to collaborate, I really hope that we can continue to be part of each other's journey.
100%.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, the Illuvium team, for participating. Thank you, everyone that joined, and for being here, for listening to this conversation. To both communities, thank you so much. And thank you, Nick, as well. See you soon. Have a good night, a good morning, a good evening, wherever you are.
Later, everyone. Thanks, Danny.
All right, peace.
Bye, everyone.